Okay, guys, so we're going to try the notes this way. Hopefully this works, but we're actually going to start on the front side of your worksheet. So on the bottom right corner, it says, what is an organelle? Okay, and what an organelle is it's a little tiny part inside of your cell. So it's kind of like the organs inside of our body, except these are the little organs inside of the cell. So that's what an organelle is. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go down or flip your page over, and what I want you to do is notice how we have you have this particular diagram. I don't know if my mouse is moving or not, but you should have the same exact diagram on the back of your on the back of your note sheet. And the number one here is the cell wall. This is in green because it's only found in plant cells. If you notice, it's only here over here on the right side. Number one does not, there's no number one on the animal cell here on the left. Okay? Down below, you have some empty boxes. So you need to find the cell wall, and you're going to write these two things, these two bullets right here in those boxes. So it's found only in plant cells. Sometimes it's found in bacteria. Some primitive bacteria will have a cell wall. No animal cells will have a cell wall. So like our cells in our bodies, they're not going to have cell walls. The main function of the cell wall is to support and protect the cell. Mostly it's there just to protect the cell. It's like an extra layer of protection. It's on the outside. I don't know if you can see it very well, but on the very, very outside here, it's the outermost layer. There's another layer that's on the inside, and that's number two. So, okay, we are going to go now, hopefully. Yep, okay, here's your second one. So number two is the cell membrane. As you can see, it's pointing, number two is pointing to a layer on the animal cell and over here on the plant cell. Do take a notice though, the cell membrane over here on the plant cell, it's actually underneath the cell wall. So the cell wall's on the outside, then the second layer under is going to be the cell membrane, okay, on the plant cell only. On the animal cells over here on the left side, it's the only layer on an animal cell since we don't have cell walls. We're just going to have that cell membrane. Its main job is to be a protective layer around the cell. So for the plant cell, it's like another layer of protection. For the animal cell, it's its only layer of protection. Its main job, though, is to determine what can come in and out of your cell. It's going to allow food to go into your cell. It's going to allow oxygen to go into your cell. It's not going to let certain things come into cells like bacteria. It's going to try not to let bacteria come in. It might excrete some waste products like carbon dioxide. It might say if it's if it's in the like the muscles, it might give off carbon dioxide. Okay, your next one is the cytoplasm. That's number three. So label it up on your chart and then find cytoplasm in the box. These two right here, these two bullets are what you need to be writing down in your blank box. What the cytoplasm is it's the space found inside of the cell. The gel, it's filled with gel. Basically, what's not filled up by these other parts and pieces of the organelles is this gel-like substance. That's called the cytosol. But the actual space is called the cytoplasm. It's like the inside of the room, it would be the cytoplasm, but the air that fills up the room, that would be like the cytosol. I'm not really going to have you know about the cytosol. I just want you to know about the cytoplasm with space inside the cell. So, and it's surrounded by the cell membrane. Okay, number 4 is the nucleus, which is this little circular structure here. This big one right in here on the left side. And then on the right side of the plant cell, it's this structure right here. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if you can see the mouse or not. It kind of looks like the big, I don't know, big circle with squiggle lines in it and a smaller circle inside. The squiggle lines are your DNA. So those are where your genes are. That determines what color hair you have, what color eyes, how tall you're going to be. Just an FYI, the little tiny circle within that bigger nucleus is actually called the nucleolus. But the nucleus's main job is just to house that DNA, to protect it, to make sure that nothing bad happens to it, because you only have that one copy of the DNA there. The individual little strings, we call them strands, those are called chromosomes. When they form, when they tighten up together, they can be called chromosomes. Okay, number 5 is the ribosome. The ribosome, okay, these are in both of the cells, so in both the animal and the plant cell. You've got tons of these. These are the little tiny circles that are attached to that maze-looking thing. See those little circles that are kind of on the outside? There's also, it's harder to see in the diagrams, but the little specks, they don't look exactly the same, but the little specks, which looks almost like dirt or dust, those are also considered ribosomes. So ribosomes can be found on the endoplasmic reticulum, which is that maze-looking thing, and they can be floating out in the cell. They can be free-floating, attached to nothing. Their job is to make proteins. So proteins, you usually think of them as being in your meat and things like that. From a biology standpoint, proteins are important because they help your cells do all sorts of different jobs. If you need to break down a fat, because whatever you ate contains some fats, the only way it's going to break it down is by a protein. If you need to make energy from your food, proteins are going to break apart your food and convert them into energy. So your proteins are like little worker bees. Okay, so they're the ones that make proteins. And then the proteins are the things that do all of the necessary jobs in your cell. Tons of these little things in there. Number 6 is your endoplasmic reticulum. We generally abbreviate this with ER for short. It's kind of like the highway, kind of helps move stuff around the cell. It's the maze-looking thing that surrounds the nucleus. You've got 2 different types of endoplasmic reticulum. You have smooth endoplasmic reticulum that doesn't have ribosomes. So any parts of the cell that don't have ribosomes, that would be considered smooth endoplasmic reticulum. If it has a ribosome attached to it, it's going to be considered a rough endoplasmic reticulum, or part of the rough endoplasmic reticulum. They're called smooth and rough because that's what they look like. Since the rough ER has ribosomes, its appearance looks kind of rough. But since the smooth ER doesn't have any ribosomes, it looks kind of smooth. So rough endoplasmic reticulum is going to make proteins because it's got those ribosomes, which make proteins. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum is going to make lipids or fats for your body. It's a lot to write in that small box up here, those 3 things, but you'll have to squeeze it in there. Okay, number 7. This is called the mitochondrion. A lot of times you'll see it written as mitochondria with no O-N at the end, just with an A. That would be the plural version. Its main job is to convert all of the food that you eat into energy. Think of it as the power plant of your cell. It's that little pill-looking thing that's got some folds and stuff in it. It's in both the plant and animal cells, number 7, so they're pointing at that. but its only job is just to make energy. So your muscle cells are going to have lots of mitochondria. Number 8, this is in green, so this is only going to be found in plant cells. So if you notice, number 8 was only pointing to the plant cell, not to the animal cell. Your chloroplast, this is why your plants look green. It's because these chloroplasts make this pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is green, so your plants look green. That's why we don't look green, because we don't have chloroplasts to make chlorophyll, so we don't look green. Its job is to help your plant cell do the process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is just a fancy word for making food out of sunlight. Photo means sun, synthesis to make. So you're making food out of sunlight. The plant cell has both the mitochondria and the chloroplast to help it make energy. Okay. Number 9, vacuoles. Okay, this one's going to be kind of difficult because the vacuoles, if you look, your little box for vacuoles is not very big. We have 2 vacuoles that we're going to talk about. The first vacuole, I guess I should say, in general, a vacuole is just called as a temporary storage space. We've got 2 different vacuoles in the cell. The central vacuole is only found in plants. It's that big bubble-looking thing. So if you look at your plant cell, look at number 9, follow that arrow, see that big kind of oval-looking thing? That's called the central vacuole. It stores water, helps plants maintain their shape. When the vacuole is full, the plant can stand upright. When the vacuole is not full, your cell kind of shrinks, and so then that's why your plants wilt, because those cells aren't full of water. So animal cells do not have a central vacuole. What animal cells have, they have a vacuole called a lysosome. Plant cells also have these too. It's in the plant cell, it's located up in the upper right corner if you look at your diagram. It's that circle right here in the upper right corner, that big blank circle. It's the same thing that number 9 is pointing to on the animal cell, that little bubble-looking thing on the animal cell down here. So number 9 is directly pointing to that on the animal cell. That's a lysosome. The lysosome is on the top right corner of the plant cell. What a lysosome does, that's the garbage disposal. It's going to get rid of all of the wastes in the cell. So make sure you've got both of these written down in the vacuole section, and understand that the central vacuole is only found in plant cells, but the lysosome is found in both. And we're almost done. Here's your last one. The Golgi body. Sometimes this is called the Golgi body, sometimes this is called the Golgi apparatus. All means the same thing. This is the packaging plant. Sometimes we call this the post office. So it's going to take all of the things that your cell might have made, if it needed to make a protein or a hormone or something like that, and its job is to package up these things and send them outside of the cell. It's going to label it and say, you need to go here. It will also process things that have come into the cell. So like I said, it's very much like a post office. It processes everything before it gets sent out of the cell, and it's going to process things as it comes into the cell. If you think of your cell like a little city or something, this is like the post office. So these are your notes. Tomorrow we will go over these again. You can ask me any questions that you might have. What I would do is you can now take these notes that you've taken and go ahead and log on to Symbaloo, and you can review then with the I think it's called the Organelle Review Games, and you can use your notes to review that. So you'll have a quiz probably sometime next week over these organelles. So it's just a matter of just memorizing what they are. You'll want to make sure you know what their functions are. You're going to want to make sure that eventually you know how to recognize them in a diagram. And you're going to want to know which 3 organelles are found only in plant cells. And those are the ones in green, the cell wall, the chloroplast, and that central vacuole. So like I said, We'll make sure that you'll be able to ask questions tomorrow. If you have a dire question that you absolutely just don't understand right now, feel free to email me. I've got my computer up, so you can go ahead and email me, and I will try to answer back to you. So, hope the quiz was okay, and have a great day.